Brother George. This is Mummy Pig. And this is Daddy Pig. Peppa Pig.
OK, so who wants to learn about concrete?
Well, I want to. Selfish
Oh, concrete. The very essence of modern civilization, the sturdy backbone of our urban landscapes, the material that shapes our world with unyielding strength and resilience.
Yes, you tell him, Daddy Pig. So, right, if Daddy Pig is an expert in concrete, which he is, and nobody else seems to share his enthusiasm for some weird reason, what can I do to reduce some of this horrific background noise, or this negativity?
What's this one?
The wonderful world of concrete.
I've been looking for that.
But now it's bedtime.
After Daddy reads this story.
It's not much of a story, Peppa.
Please read it, Daddy.
OK. The wonderful world of concrete. Concrete is a construction material
composed of sand, water, aggregate and cement.
Chapter 1. Sand.
Peppa, George and Mummy Pig have fallen asleep.
Right, that's it. Such a disrespectful family of pigs, treating their family and worst of all concrete with such contempt. Anyway, lovely bacon sandwich it is. One criticism, too much pepper.
Peppa Pig.
And there you go, learning about concrete is no sleeping matter, and that is what happens to disrespectful little pigs. Welcome back, I'm Linz, and this is Concrete Conversations, episode 8. So apologies for the delays between episode 7 and 8. I've been a little bit sidetracked with a product launch of my own, and also waiting for the new 4K camera to come. It's here now, obviously, so the visual quality should be so much better on Concrete Conversations going forward. The only downside to it is, now you can see every crack and line on my face, so if you want to zoom in on my bad side... Now try my good side. Perfect. So on today's episode, I want to talk about payload and all the misconceptions about that, see through all the flannel and help your mixer maximise its earning potential. So let's get straight into payload and start with the fact that capacity and payload are two different things. So people often get payload and capacity mixed up, but in concrete terms, it's the commercial payload and the commercial capacity that you're after. The next few minutes might start off a little bit confusing, but bear with me, we'll bring it round full circle. Capacity is the maximum amount that something can carry or hold by fully occupying the available area or space. This is the kind of capacity that most people think of. This is Wembley Stadium and it holds 90,000 people, or a 90,000 capacity. This isn't the capacity type we're after. This is a pint glass, and it's quite obviously nicked. But for the point of this experiment, its capacity is 1 pint. Now, its commercial capacity and its commercial payload is also 1 pint, basically because you can both carry and profit from the maximum amount it can hold. This is not, however, the case with mixers, as the payload depends on what you carry, and its capacity depends on, well, how it's built. A pint glass can hold a pint of water, a pint of gravy, a pint of beer, or even a pint of concrete, but it'll always hold a pint. It's not the same, however, with commercial vehicles, so let's break that down. So here we have an 8 metre mixer drum. So people would genuinely say it has an 8 metre capacity. Nope, wrong. If we turn the drum on its end, it's now effectively, for the want of a better word, a big glass, and the capacity would be the entire volume, which is approximately 15 cubic metres. Now remember, it's the commercial capacity we're after, and that depends on this, the waterline. We've mentioned the waterline before in previous episodes, but the waterline is where fluid sits in the drum, and it's the maximum point where the product stays within the drum without overflowing through the mouth. The waterline varies from manufacturer to manufacturer as each drum is built differently, but basically the shallower your drum sits, the less it holds, and vice versa, the steeper it sits, the more it can hold. This is the maximum commercial capacity of the drum. And as all products occupy the same volume, the waterline is the same as the maximum commercial capacity of, well, anything really, from water to concrete to mortar to orange juice. Clear as mud? Stick with me. So that's commercial capacity. Let's move on to the moneymaker. payload in a general term is something that is taken from a starting point and transported to an alternative destination. So basically, whatever the vehicle is carrying. The total vehicle payload, however, is everything a truck is carrying, including yourself and itself. So the money-making part is the commercial payload, and this is the part of a vehicle's load from which the revenue is derived. So your commercial payload is basically, well, what you get paid for, and you want that amount to be as large as possible. How do you get that amount? Well, you get that amount by taking away your total vehicle payload away from your maximum permissible road weight. How do we do that? Let's see. So the main chassis derivatives for delivering concrete in the UK would be a 4x2 for four-wheeler mixers, a 6x4 for six-wheeler mixers, or an 8x4 for mixers and volumetrics. Obviously, the bigger the chassis gets, the bigger the maximum road weight gets. This is the simplest way to explain it. So a four-wheeler, 1, 2 axles, 4 wheels, maximum of 18 tonne. And a six-wheeler, 1, 2, 3 axles, 6 wheels, maximum of 26 tonne. And an 8-wheeler, 1, 2, 3, 4 axles, 8 wheels, maximum 32 tonne. So, just to complete the circle, and as the most popular way to deliver concrete in the UK is on an 8-wheeler truck, we'll use one of them for the example. Now, the maximum permissible weight on the UK roads for an 8-wheeler truck is 32 tonne. So to know the commercial payload of this mixer, we need to know the weight of the mixer and the chassis all combined without any concrete on board. So for that, we'll use some average indicative industry figures. A chassis weight of 10 tonne, a body weight of 3.5 tonne, and a wet weight, which means the combined weight of water carried by the mixer and fuel and oils carried by the chassis, of around 0.6 tonne. And don't forget this guy, Johnny the salad dodging mixer driver. Well, him and his lunchbox will weigh 100 kilos, so don't forget that. All in, these average figures give you a total unladen weight of 14.2 tonne. So if you take the maximum weight of 32 tonne, and you take away the total unladen weight of 14.2 tonne, it gives you a total commercial payload of 17.8 tonne, which means this mixer can carry 17.8 tonne of something before it goes overweight. So the reason I say 17.8 tonnes of something is because depending on what you've got in the back, the volume might be the same, but the weight will vary, and therefore so will your commercial payload in cubic metres. The standard commercial concrete mix, as we've said before, has a weight of up to 2.4 tonne per cubic metre. So with a 17.8 tonne commercial payload, it would allow you to deliver up to 7.42 cubic metres. A self-compacting concrete runs at around 2.3 tonnes per cube, which means you could deliver up to 7.74 cubic metres of that. And a mortar or a screed, which tends to have no aggregate or a high water content, runs at around 1.8 tonne per cube, which means you could deliver up to 9.9 metres. And I've not gone into varying product detail with volumetrics, as although you work out the commercial payload in exactly the same way, volumetrics carry all of their ingredients to the job, so regardless of what you're delivering, concrete, mortar, screed or a variation of, the commercial payload of the volumetric would be 17.8 tonne of material. So coming back around to conclusion, you now know what the commercial capacity is, and that it's completely based on this, the waterline, and what's physically possible to be carried by the drum. Most 8-metre drum waterlines will be 9 metres cubed or lower. And you also know what is and how to work out your commercial payload, which is what's left over of your maximum road weight after your chassis, your body, your fuels and your driver have been accounted for. The trick therefore to maximising your earnings is to try and get the commercial payload as close to your commercial capacity as you can. So if the waterline or capacity is 9 cubic metres and we use the concrete example from before at a payload of 7.42 cubic metres, you can see on this mixer you've got some wasted capacity, and therefore you need a lighter mixer chassis combo. And if we take the same waterline or capacity of 9 cubic metres and we use the mortar or screed example from earlier on at 9.9 metres cubed, you can see the payload exceeds the capacity, and therefore you've lost potential earnings, and therefore you need a bigger drum. So how do you increase your waterline? Well, most mixer manufacturers will offer larger drums from 8 metres to 9 metres, for example. Also remember that European agitation drums sit lower in their stalls than a UK built mixing drum, which means that a UK mixing drum has got a larger waterline by proxy. How do you reduce weight? Start off by speaking to your chassis supplier. If spec'd right, you can lose weight on the base unit through cab spec or alloy wheels, for example. Speak to your mixer supplier. They should have weight-saving options, for example, alloy or smaller water tanks. And to all you chromosexuals out there, this doesn't help.
Although some of them do look damn good.
As a last resort, you can always put the driver on a diet. So hopefully that's all clear. And why have I been talking about payload? Well, reason one, I was talking to a customer the other day who didn't know how to work out their payload, so I'm assuming there's people out there that don't. And number two, road weights are being clamped down on more and more at the moment, and I don't want people falling foul of not knowing or taking other people's word for it when it's your job or your own licence on the line. And number three, speaking to people around the industry, I'm starting to hear some claims that this manufacturer's 10-metre drum can carry 9 cubic metres of concrete legally, or because my drum's a 9 metre, it can carry 9 metres. Unfortunately, that's not correct. So hopefully now you understand your actual payload and how to work it out, and also the difference between capacity and payload and how to get them both to work better for you. That's episode 8 done. Thanks for joining me, and after that classroom experience, I'm happy to say that the next few episodes are all out and about meeting people, meeting characters, and on site in different places. So I'll look forward to sharing those with you. Until then, stay safe.